Hi everyone, how's it going? How's your week been? Welcome to another soap making video for Petrichor Soap Company. I'm Mel. I've had a pretty good week. It's been my birthday week actually, so I've just been taking it easy. I took Friday off from work today, so it's Friday today, so I've got an extra long week because in Canada we are celebrating Thanksgiving on Monday, so that's nice. Give myself a little bit of an extra break. So today we are making our limited edition holiday soap, which is going to be called Snow Day, I think. I always am notorious for changing names at the last second, but for now I'm going with Snow Day. And this is going to be a sweet peppermint candy scent. It's a pretty plain bar because it's just a white base. But I've decorated it, you'll see, with um, some botanicals and some glitter on top at the end. This is a big batch. I mean, big for me. This is 32 bars, so two of our 16 bar nurture soap molds. And overall, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. There wasn't too much to go wrong when you're doing a simple soap like this. So it's kind of nice to give yourself a more simple bar to do once in a while. So just some pre-dispersed titanium dioxide going into the base, and our regular recipe with oat milk. Um, I keep tweaking the water discount, and there was way too much water in this batch. Taking it out of the mold was a heck of a struggle. I left one of them 5 days, and it was almost worse than the one that I took out after three. So definitely was too much water left in there. And you'll see a little bit later that when you leave so much water in my recipes, it's built to account for about a 30% water discount. So when I think of this recipe, it ended up being around 12, and I had to put some in a spare mold because there was just too much batter left because of the extra water. I put in the extra water because I wanted to give myself more working time because of the acceleration issue I've been having, but um, it's just not going to be able to work with the silicone molds if it's going to be that difficult to take out. I can't leave them in the molds for more than 5 days. I don't have enough molds to do that, unfortunately. And anyway, that's just part of the soap making process and this new recipe, tweaking things until I find the perfect method. So the fragrance oil for this one is a mix of tangled peppermint, I think it's called, from Island Escape. And I boosted up the peppermint with some Japanese peppermint essential oil. Um, in all honesty, I don't know if I'll do this one again next year. Something I learned this year is that sweet peppermint scents really give me a pretty substantial headache. I don't know, and I've never done a scent like this before, and that's part of soap making is learning what does and doesn't work for you. It has mellowed out considerably now that it's sitting, cut and sitting, which is good. It's what I hoped for. I had hoped it wasn't going to be that strong as the cure went on. So I'm hoping that at the end of 6 weeks, it's gonna have a nice, mellow, sweet peppermint smell. Nothing that's gonna knock your socks off. If you love peppermint, this is the one for you. It delivers on that peppermint candy smell, and I'm hoping that a lot of people will really like it for Christmas. It's going to be going up on the website. It's going to be going out to our retail consignment partners and whoever's wanting to pick it up for Christmas or the holiday season. So I don't know what your guys' weather has been like so far this fall, but we are still getting into the 20s and we're well into the first week of October. I do see a day finally coming next week. That's going to be a high of +6 Celsius. So that's going to feel really cold after what we've had for such a nice, long, warm fall. But even after that, we're going back up, so I can't complain too much. But I think we're finally, that day is going to bring the killing frost that's going to end a lot of things in the garden. I just picked a bunch of beans last night. Probably the last feed of beans we'll get, but to be still getting beans in the first week of October for us is pretty crazy. I'm still struggling with the best way to pour for these videos. It's hard when you've got that much soap and pouring this mold that I'm doing right now, the one that's farthest from me, is hard when you're trying to pour from so high up, but I'll figure it out as I go along. This whole filming things. It's right about here that I realize I have way too much soap, so I'm gonna go grab a second mold to put all the scrapings into. You can see what a difference the extra water makes though, as far as how fluid the batter is, which is great, but it's not great if I can't get it out of the mold. And I had put my sodium lactate up to 1.5% for this recipe as well. Usually I work with 1%. The next videos that you'll see coming up, I am now trying 2%, which so far, fingers crossed, is working out pretty good. But even the 1.5% sodium lactate didn't save this one from getting it cleanly out of the mold. That could be to do with the fragrance and the peppermint as well. That's the hard thing about when you're making soap, is there's so many factors that go into your results, and changing even one of them can do weird things. So you think you know what to expect, and it'll surprise you every time. I guess that's part of the excitement of this process. Getting every little last bit of batter out of there. Those bars will be for samples or friends and family. So I've just got some lye solution cooling down right now because I am going to make another couple of designs this afternoon. They're just going to be little 8-bar tests because I've got some designs and scents that I'm hoping to try out. Of course, I will be recording and sharing those with you guys down the road. I'm trying to get as much soap making done as I possibly can because I do have my holiday market coming up on November 13th. And everything has to sit for 6 weeks before that's ready to come along. So just texturing the top here. I decided to do this in real time. Usually I have the rest sped up, but I think this process is my favorite, so I like to see it in real time. It does, especially if it's a little bit looser like this, it gets up on the side of the molds, but when I go to clean up the edges, it kind of stacks it back up. If there's extra, I'm scraping it into the spare mold. but it also sort of pushes it back into the soap as well. So that bit that goes over the side, it doesn't get wasted. I'm fond of this texture because when I go to wrap it up, it gives a really uniform appearance when all of the bars are wrapped up, and it works well with the packaging that I do. And I think it looks neat, especially the play of the light and the shadow with that texture. I thought about potentially doing a color in this one. I really wanted to go with a red, but I'm still not quite sure the best way to handle the color red. It's a hard color to get in soaping. So here's the toppings. They're going with a hexagon gold glitter, eco glitter from Windy Point. I love this glitter. It's so shiny, so festive, and so far it's looking really good on the bars as they're curing. I measured out way more than I needed. I think I ended up using maybe like an eighth or a quarter of what I measured out. This is obviously the first time that I'm doing this design, so again, I'll know what I need for next time if I do it again next time or something similar. But yeah, I love this glitter. I had been intending to use it for a holiday soap for a long time now, so I'm excited that I finally got to use it. The other thing that I've been waiting to use for a very long time are cranberry seeds. I absolutely adore how they look, and so I picked up some cranberry seeds from Voyager out of BC, and that's what we're putting on next. In retrospect, I think I could have just left it with the gold glitter and the cranberry seeds. I think I like the simplicity of that a little more. The last thing I'm going to put on are nettle leaves. And I like using nettle because it's got at least this batch that I have, it's got a very bright, vibrant green to the dried leaves. Um, so I like using that on top of soaps, but I think I could have gotten away with sticking on the more simple side for this one and just going with the gold glitter and the cranberry. But in the end, I think the green looks nice. Obviously, it's festive, it's complimentary. And I am just gonna crush it up a little bit because some of the pieces were big and I didn't want it to completely cover up what I had already put down there. So just crushing it up a bit in my hands before I sprinkle it on top. I'm a really big fan of soaps with white soaps with botanicals on top. You'll probably see that white soaps with anything on top. You'll see that design used over and over again. I love how it looks. I love how it photographs. I think it's really classic and classy. Again, there's not too much to talk about with this bar as far as what I'm doing because it is such a simple soap, but I hope it's at least fun or informative or at the very least enjoyable to watch. So here's the end result. The light was really odd Especially as we go into winter. I'm losing light really fast, so that's why it looks pretty dark here. But you can see the gold glitter and the cranberry seeds and the nettle leaf on top and what that looks like. I love that sparkle. It's a little bit of holiday magic. Alright, so now we're going to get into the cutting. And not an exciting bar to cut, but I like to throw the cutting in there for you nonetheless. This week we watched the movie Hotel Artemis. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it. I really enjoyed it, actually. I know it's a pretty old movie. Lots of people have probably already seen it if you're interested, but we don't sit down and watch movies. At least I don't. My wife watches movies all the time, but I don't sit down and watch movies too often. So I just watched it and I really liked it. Sort of a dystopian future, John Wick-esque type feel to it. If you like those kind of movies, then I would check it out while it's on Netflix. Obviously, we're getting into spooky season, the Halloween season. I really don't like horror movies, so that's not my thing. I know a lot of people are probably amping up to watch a lot of scary movies, but scary movies give me stress dreams, especially anything to do with like poltergeists or zombies. Zombies are my number one. My wife loves zombie movies, and I absolutely refuse to watch anything to do with zombies. I had started watching Walking Dead way, way, way back in the beginning with her, and I would just have these horrible, horrible, stressful dreams about being stuck in post-apocalyptic times and dealing with zombies. So I had to admit that that was not for me. I have enough stress in my life, enough anxiety that I like to relax or be entertained or amused when I'm watching films. This is the first bar, the one that I took out after 3 days or so. Really, really hard to get out. I end up smoothing down the sides with my fingers, like kind of like smoothing down all the roughed up soap, and it ends up not looking too bad. It's handmade, it's rustic in the end. I could plane it off if I really wanted to, but I don't mind my soaps looking a little bit rustic and handmade because they are ultimately. I make every single bar soap by hand. So there's the top for you, sparkly, glittery, and I wanted it so that you could use it past the holiday season, and it wasn't too obnoxious, didn't scream Christmas too much. So I hope you enjoyed watching, everyone. Have yourself a really great week. Take care.